So right here, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 2. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, and their departure is taken for misery. Right, so their departure is taken for misery, meaning that, a lot of people, when they look at the elect, they're like, man, they're going through troubles, they're miserable, but really, they're in peace because they have joy, because they have the Lord. All right, they have the scriptures, they got the Comforter, they got the truth. You see, so very important. Right here, let's start from the top. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 2. In the sight of the unwise, they seem to die. Right. Because so to the unwise, it seems like, man, the elect are just foolish, they're wasting their time, when it's actually the opposite. The people in this world, they're not going to go anywhere, because if you're not part of that hopeful elect, okay, you're not making it out of here. You see, so in the sight of the unwise, they seem to die, because some people may say like, oh man, the elect are going through a very hard time where it seems like like, oh man, like they're through, but they're not, and their departure is taken for misery, because from the outside in, people look at the elect like, man, they're lost, they don't know what they're talking about. You see, there's a lot of scoffers and scorners, where really the the elect have the word, okay, have the truth, and that's all the elect need. All right, verse 3, and they're going from us to be utter destruction. Right. Okay, so they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. Right. Right there's the point. Okay. So Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 3, and they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. Right. Because from the outside in, it looks like, oh man, the elect are, in bad times. It looks like they're just gonna, just what they call it, like crash out. No, but the elect are in peace. You see, they have joy because they have the Lord, and they got this word, they got this knowledge. So the elect are common collective, but as you can see, going around right now, these 2/3 are bugging out. One of the main thing is these the women. Okay, a lot of these independent women are regretting it. Okay, they're regretting being that independent woman. They are they're and they are in a place right now where they're finding out like, man, it wasn't worth it, to be an independent woman. See, because that only lasts for a little while, but at the end of the day, a woman is created to be with a husband. You see, so all that, I don't need a man and all that. It's all just an act. It's just, they all just put a show on with their friends, like, yeah, we don't need a man and all that. It's all just an act. It's all just for attention. But remember, reality's hitting. Okay, where judgment's hitting, and it's called reality. So women at the end of the day are gonna be like, man, they're gonna feel lonely. Once they hit like their 40s, upper 30s, they're gonna be like, damn, what, man, I should have had like a family. I should have held on to that good guy. Like, damn, I should have kept my mouth shut. Now I'm single, and I'm just depressed, and now war's about to pop off, and I need someone that can like take care of me. So that whole independent women thing was created by the so-called white man to destroy our families, was to weaken our foundations. Remember that, okay? It's not like because there are, and remember, to the few women out there that are independent, you guys are doing good for yourselves, because there are some women out there who are independent, and they haven't really found a man, but they're not like being disrespectful to man. It's just that they just kind of end up being single, and they're doing all right. But that's just like a very few. There's a lot of women out there that went with this Beyonce spirit. This whole I don't need a man, and stuff like that. So what that is that what that does is that you know that pretty much you know it destroys families, but it corrupts. That mentality corrupted a lot of our women, the daughters of Zion, their minds. Okay, so a lot of that corrupted our women's minds. You see, because now they're single, now they regret it. They're like, damn, see. So what are they gonna do when these evils pass? You see. All right. So let's go to the third verse again. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 3. And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace. Right. Okay. Because the elect are holding it down right now. Okay. While the world is tripping and prepping and having meetings and buying underground bunkers and weapons on top of weapons, the elect are just chilling. With their basic essentials and their Bibles, just chilling. These heathens, the Edomites, they're really freaking out. You guys, you gotta understand that. Our enemies are really freaking out. They're freaking out, man. They're freaking out. They're having a Mac attack. See, because you've seen white people when they panic. You guys ever seen like those horror movies where the white people, they get scared when the phone rings? When the phone rings, they're like, oh shit, who's that? So you imagine Esau. You imagine how scared he is. They're tripping out. They're tripping out. Especially those that know that the Lord's coming with spaceships. Those that are in the know. You don't think they're freaking out? They're panicking, hombre. They're panicking, mi amigo. You don't think they're tripping? They're tripping, you guys. Oh yeah. So this is something that you have to really think about, because remember, our enemies, the heathen, are goofy, and the Edomites, okay, they're not strong like the Israelites. Okay, you may have few among them, but not many. How you Israelites out there, how these heathens are. Okay, they're goofy, So you imagine in these serious times, a lot of them are not like people of war. The heathen are goofy and stuff. So when it comes down to the serious time, our enemies, they're really freaking out. So this is this precept here, Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 3, verse 3. And they're going from us to be utter destruction, but they are in peace, right? Because the elect are our enemies are looking at the elect like, man, what makes these people so confident? Because they're not buying guns, they're not prepping, they're out here with nothing, with literally just a Bible, a Bible, and a smoothie and a bottle of water. That's it. They're like, damn, like these, the elect are really comfortable, because remember, especially those who are, teachers of of Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Remember, our enemies have us on the scope 24 hours. Okay, and best believe they're tripping, because our enemies have teams and weapons on top of weapons, all that, and they're looking at the teachers like, yo, they're not even prepping, like they don't even have anything, yeah, they may have, the prophets may have, a few cases, a case of water here and there, but they're not prepping like the people in this world. They're buying underground bunkers, freaking out, buying weapons, and these leaders, when they see the prophets, they're like, yo, they're really out here with nothing, but nothing, because remember, we stock up on faith, because we truly believe that the Lord is the Savior. We're not we're not a hypocrite. We're not like, oh yeah, we believe, and then we have a whole house, a whole basement full of, snacks and water and dry meats, Nah, we're literally out here with nothing, laughing at our enemies. But confidence, not being a smartass, but confidence, because we truly believe in the Lord. So you don't think our enemies trip out when they see the men of the Lord? Like, damn, they're literally out here with nothing. Like, yeah,